Talia here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. So I have been in kind of like a creativity funk. Like I'm having a really hard time coming up with like new ideas, and as much as I find like cool inspiration on Instagram or Pinterest or anything, I'm just having a really hard time putting it into a design. So I was kind of hoping that we could get out of that funk together. Actually, it's interesting because this is a question that I've had asked often, like how do you come up with nail art ideas, or like how do you get out of a funk? Like it's actually a well-asked question. So usually my go-to is to just find like a bunch of inspiration on Pinterest and try out different things, but that hasn't overly been working as much for me either. Taking some nail art workshops. I do have a whole bunch of them online. I've got 10 of them now online. So if you are looking for some really detailed creativity motivation, those workshops are great as well. I also suggest like getting a couple new nail art pieces to see if that inspires something. But I have a studio here full of nail art, and I am just going to do my best to kind of pick through some different items and see if we can come up with some more simple but like creative nail art designs together. So I'm hoping to show you guys 10 of them today. I haven't pulled anything for it. We're going to go around the studio and we're going to find some really cool products and see what we can kind of come up with for it. But hopefully together we can come up with some really cool ideas. So let's go see what we have first. Let's go start with my first design and kind of see what we're going to pull for it. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to set up my desk, because sometimes even just getting your desk all set up and ready to go for nail art helps. I'm going to use this background in a little bit, so I'm not going to keep that one too far. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to do a white background. I'm going to keep the designs on a short almond. As much as we see like beautiful long nail designs on social media all the time, it's just not practical. For the most part, if you're like a press-on artist, or even if you've got clients in your studio, for the most part, they have like more everyday manageable lengths of nails. I say that loosely because I know there's like techs out there that specialize in super long designs and stuff, but in my personal experience, when I had clients in the studio and working on press-ons, short and extra short are the most requested sizes. So I'm gonna do natural almond short today, which is from Après, and I'm gonna size it to fit my little finger here too. Do you want a thumb or a finger today? I'll do a finger. And usually this size, I'm gonna use like 4.5 because this size isn't picked that often. I think this one fits decent in here. Okay, so we're gonna do 4.5, and we're gonna get them all sized here. Okay, I'm not sure how many designs we're gonna do, but I'm gonna pull 10 and we'll see if we can get 10 simple designs done. Now, I have been doing more hand painting than like stamping or anything, so one of the palettes, or one of the products that I love working with for that, does it have a sticky on it? Yes, it does, is the Après French tip set. I believe it's a discontinued set, but you can still get it at DK Beauty. And I have them all like depotted, I guess you would, is that what you would call it for nail stuff, in this little container. So we're going to do a lot of if we do hand painting, it'll likely come out of this little container here. And let's get these all prepped. So what we have to do to prep these, especially because nobody's going to be wearing these are just for designs on YouTube here, is we're just going to file the little edge off. So it's got like a little tiny tip usually at the edge, and that needs to come off, because if you paint over top of it, it just kind of looks funny. And you have, like, if you go to file it after you've painted it, you can run the risk of like your products chipping. So that'll fall off. Okay, and then we're going to use the Après Gel X Tip Primer. This just kind of acts as like a two-sided tape almost, like it gives it like a sticky layer so that your next steps all adhere to it. You don't really need to go in with a base coat or anything like that if you use this, and it doesn't add any bulk to the nails, which is nice, especially if you're working with these and for press-ons. The more like layers you add, like the thicker these nails are going to be. So Let's start with our first design.
This first design is modeled off of a press-on set that I did for a client recently. We're going to do some cute little mushrooms. So we're going to start with this color here. This is from Koko and Claire, and it is a magnetic gel polish. This came out in a collection with a bunch of really pretty colors, and I specifically chose this green because I loved it for the background of this design. So this cat eye gel polish, it goes on really nice in 2 coats, but I actually ended up doing 3 with it because I wanted the magnetic properties to stand out a little bit more. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm playing with cat eye gel polishes, I find them kind of finicky to try and get like that actual true cat eye look. So I just play around with the magnet until I get it to kind of pool to the center. So I move the magnet on both of the sides, and then I also move it to like the cuticle and the free edge as well, just to kind of give it like a really cool look. And I love the green that is kind of on the background there after the magnetic properties have pulled out. I think it's just such a stunning green, especially for this particular design. After I've cured that, I'm going to go in with one of these green colors from that French Opera kit that I have over here. And I'm using a gel bottle brush here that's got kind of like a square fan edge, so it works really good for grass. And I'm just lightly putting some of this green color down. And before I cure it, I'm going to go in with a shorter striping brush, and I'm going to create some lines of grass in the design too. I find it a little easier to turn the nail around for this particular part. But I'm using the exact same color here, and then I'm going to go and cure it, and I'm going to switch to a different shade of green that is also a part of the French manicure series. This one is a little bit lighter, and it's just going to give like a little bit more dimension to the grass look. So after I've done that, I'm going to cure it as well. Now the red in the French manicure is not bright enough for me, so I'm going to use this one here from Après. It is just a stunning red as well. Now these ones that are not a part of the French manicure series, I find them a little bit more runnier. They still work really good for hand painting, I find, but you just kind of got to play with the gels a little bit more, I find. So to make the little mushroom, I'm going to use 3 little dots, and then I'm just going to take that same striper brush that I was using for the grass, and I'm going to form it into my little mushroom shape. The nice thing about the mushrooms is that you can make them kind of whatever shape you want. You can make them like a little bit more of a peaked dome on the top, or you can make it look like a little bit more triangular. It doesn't overly matter. And then I'm going to switch to a cream color here for the base. And again, the stems of the mushroom doesn't overly matter. Like I've seen some that are a little bit more thicker and a little bit more rounder, and some that are a little bit more straight. I kind of like the whimsical look of doing it like the little base is a little bit different too. After I've cured that, I'm going to go in and do some polka dots on here that is going to make them look more like mushrooms. And just to finish the design, I'm going to go back in and add some striped grass to kind of look like the mushrooms are sitting behind the grass as well. So I did do this one in a shiny top coat, but I think this look would look really cool if it was done in matte as well. I love combining animal print with florals, especially for springtime. I feel like it's a good transition from like winter designs to spring designs to combine the two. So I'm going to go in with this Après Light and Shadow color. I love this. I think it's just the perfect sky color. And I like that it only really needs 1 coat to give it like a milky kind of transparent look. I decided to kind of match the background with the florals that I was going to use. And I picked these really pretty blue florals. And when I go in and put them down on the nail, I'm just going to do them kind of like in an angle. So I use 2 different floral decals here to do that kind of look. And the Après gel polishes, I think most of them, if not all of them, cure tack free. So you can go in and add your decals like right on top of it to make sure that it's securely down here. And then I'm going to take this beautiful Après gel paint, and it is in a silver color, but it kind of looks like a silvery gold. And I'm going to take a really small dotting tool and create kind of like weird dots on the nail. Now you don't need these to be perfect. You kind of want them to be a little bit more abstract. So I'm going to make some of them a little bit smaller and some of them a little bit bigger. And I do cover up some of the nail decal as well, which is going to act as like a twofold because it's going to, when it cures, kind of cure the nail decal down a little bit better. But I like that it kind of overlaps the florals too. So after that is cured, with the same dotting tool, I'm going to go in with a dark brown. Usually I do animal print like this with black, but I thought because there was brown in the floral decals that it would kind of work a little bit better too. So play around with your dotting tools as well as your brushes and kind of see what kind of outlines work best. I ended up switching to one of these Akzentz brushes because I thought it would work a little bit better. And make sure that you go in and add some like random space of dots too, because that kind of cleans up the design. So after I've cured that, I'm going to go in with my top coat and do like a generous coat to cover up this nail decal. Now I personally like to seal it in with top coat first, and then after it's cured, that's when I go in and file off the edges of the decal. That way the decals like hold on a little bit better too. So this is such a fun look. Cherry Blossom nail art is definitely a high requester in my nail art studio. So I'm going to show you a kind of more simple way to do it, more of like an abstract way. We're going to start with a light base here. This is again from the Light and Shadow collection from Après. I absolutely love this collection. I love those kind of like milky bases. We're going to cure that, and then we're going to go in with that same brown from the French Manicure series. Now for these branches, it doesn't matter if they're like kind of shaky and they're not perfect and they don't line up super great, because that really just adds to the design. So I'm going to do two little branches kind of offset here. I'm going to cure that, and then I want to kind of take like a lighter pink as well as a white, and then I also wanted a little bit more of a brighter pink too. So I'm going to put this down on my palette, and then I accidentally forgot to actually film this, like I didn't have the camera on, so I'm just going to swipe it off and then we're going to redo it here. But I'm just dipping my brush into a little bit of the light pink and a little bit of the hotter pink, and then I also sometimes will go in with the white, and I'm just lightly dabbing the product onto the nail here to kind of create like an abstract cherry blossom look. And this brush works really good for this design because it's got like a square end to it, so I'm able to just like get some really good like dimension with it with the different petals here. So after I get all of my petals down, I'm going to cure it, and I did put some little petals just kind of like free falling as well. I decided to grab this really bright green for just a little bit of greenery. Cherry blossoms don't have like a ton of greenery in it, but I like to include greenery whenever I'm doing florals. I just think it really adds to it. So I'm just doing some little tiny dabs surrounding the flowers here as well. And I recently did some cherry blossom nails for a client. I did them in a shiny finish, but this time I decided to do them matte, and I really liked how that base color turned out with the flowers in it being matte. I just think it looks really, really good, and it's just a fun way to do some cherry blossom nails. So the next design we're going to do is this watermelon one that kind of has like a cat eye and then multi-dimensional finish to it. I'm going to use the Après glass gel for this. The Après glass gels are highly pigmented. Like one thin coat here looks fantastic. I did decide to add a little bit of flakes to, well, I don't really want to say dispersion layer because Après doesn't really have much of a dispersion layer, but thankfully these flakes stuck to it pretty good. And then I'm going to go in with another coat of the glass gel on top of it. That way it looks like it's kind of encapsulated. I'm going to take that same cat eye from Koko and Claire, that really pretty green one that we used earlier in the video, and I thought this would be really good for the rind. However, when I go in and paint it on top of the pink, it really just fades into the design here, and I didn't really like how it was looking. It just wasn't bright enough for me, so I decided to go in with some of that green Après color that I have been reaching for a lot in this tutorial and do that as the base instead first, just so we can make it pop a little bit more. Now I've been reaching for cat eye gel polishes a lot just to add some really fun accents to it, because you can get the magnetic properties to kind of pull in a unique way, and it just gives a really fun look to it, and I thought it worked really cool for this cute watermelon design. I'm going to go in with a light thin layer of white just to separate the green and the pink, and then I decided to take some black for some of the seeds here. I'm just going to paint a bunch of them down, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to top coat over top of them, and then I wanted to create a little bit of a 3D effect with it. So you want to make sure that you are top coating over top of your entire image before you go in and do your 3D, because you don't really want to top coat over top of 3D because it kind of takes away the effect of it. Well, I guess it kind of depends on the look you're going for. For this one here in particular, I wanted the 3D to pop a little bit more. So this product works great for creating like a 3D effect because you can mix it with any gel products that you have, and it's the Akzentz like nail art powder. So it's just going to add like a raised look to these little seeds here. I thought it added just a little something extra to the design. I've been playing around with different 3D elements lately, and I really like the 3D trend, especially with working with different types of gels. So a product like this is just so versatile because you can mix it with any of the gel polishes that you have in your existing collection, and we talk about products like that a lot on my channel. It's something that I really like to feature for you guys because I love expanding the existing products that are already in your existing collection, and this is one product that does that. know fruit nails are usually more seen with summer nail art, but I feel like you can never really get started too soon on that trend. So the next one we're going to do is this cute little ladybug nail. My favorite part about this nail is the base of it. So I have featured this product in my recent favorites video, and it is Here Kitty Kitty from Koko and Clara, and it is just the perfect like silvery base for a cat eye. Again, though, you are going to have to go in and do 3 coats with it if you want it to be super opaque. For this design, you could probably get away with 2, but I really wanted that cat eye to pull quite a bit, so I did go in and do like thin, 3 thin layers on top of it. But the product that really makes this design pop is the next product. So again, from Koko and Claire, we have number 17, and this is like not necessarily a glass gel, but it is see-through enough that it can be kind of considered like a glass gel. It's the perfect red, in my opinion, for like glass type of designs, and it just really pops over top of this silver. Now this design is fairly simple. You're just gonna grab some black gel polish and you're gonna paint kind of like a loose French at the base of the, or at the tip of the nail here, and then you're just gonna fill it in. However, I made this one like almost too arched in my opinion, so I ended up adding a little bit more extra black to make it look a little bit more of like a straight French for the little head on the ladybug here. And I like to cure in between these steps as well, but the next thing you're going to do is just draw a line down the center of the nail, and then we're going to go in and add some white dots for the eyes. Why is like white dots for the eyes just so intimidating? I find it so hard to get them to look perfect. So I'm going to cure that, and then I'm going to go in with my black dot for the center. Again, like you can really make the eyes look wonky if you don't get this like perfectly in the center. Thankfully, this design I was able to get it to look okay. And then for the back of the ladybug here, we're going to go in and do some black polka dots. This would be a fun design to add that same 3D element to. Like after you top coated it, you could easily go in with some of that art gel and make those little dots a little bit raised. That would look super cute. But this is a really cute little spring design, and then you can pair it with like different types of bugs or greenery for a full set. The next design is this really pretty animal print that is not done in spring colors, so it could actually be good for all year round, but I love the marble effect that I was able to achieve with it, so I can't wait to show you guys. So we're going to start with 3 neutral gels here. Once I put these down on the palette though, I was like, I think I want a little bit more neutral to it too. So I grabbed this one, Desert Princess. This actually has a little bit of sparkle to it, which is nice for when you're marbling. This product was featured in my recent favorites video, and it is the brush Saviour from the GelBottle, and my ombre brush needed a good clean out. It had a lot of sparkle and some different colors in it, so I like to just drop a little bit into the brush and then put some on the wipe as well, and then just kind of run the bristles through the product, and it works really good for cleaning up your brushes. It's been a staple at my desk lately. Once I have my brush all nice and clean, I'm just going to lift some of the product up with that ombre brush. I like using an ombre brush because I find that I don't grab as much product, so it's not going to create so much bulk, and then these like wavy lines really create a fun marbled look to it. So I'm going to add all of the different colors on here until I'm happy with the design. You don't have to overthink this though, like just put it down and then cure it, because we are going to go in and add some animal print on top of it, which is going to cover up a lot of, I guess, if there's any imperfections, but with marbling there usually isn't. Marbling is one of my favorite things to do. I have a whole workshop on marbling techniques, and we go through a whole bunch with gel and watercolor and art inks and some different type of products that you can use to create fun marble effects, but this is just one of the ones that I tend to reach for quite a bit. So I'm going to take some of that Après Silver again and just outline some of the animal print. I like to add a little bit of glitter to my animal print designs because I think it just makes the black pop a little bit more and it gives it kind of a cool effect. I picture this neutral animal print paired with some really nice like brown French nails or something like that. It would look really cool. I thought this one turned out really fun. It's a good design for all year round though, not just spring. This design is super simple and I had a lot of fun creating it. So first we're going to start with a neutral background. And this color is a newer one to the Akzentz lineup, and I really like it because it's got like a soft pink to it, but it's also still just neutral. And I'm going to go in and just do one coat down for this. And then I decided to grab some butterfly nail decals here. Now it doesn't matter like what sort of butterfly you put down, but we are going to have to remove the dispersion layer of the Akzentz gel polish before you go and put decals down. I forgot to do that initially, and then it wasn't going to stick, so I ended up going back in, removing the dispersion layer and putting that decal down, and we're going to create it kind of on an angle and then in the center. The next thing that I'm going to do is grab some jelly polishes from Akzentz. Now these differ from the Après ones as they're not quite as pigmented, and they have more of like a true jelly look to them, so they give like a really soft look to the nail. I'm going to take some blooming gel, which is going to act as like a twofold. It's going to encapsulate that decal, so it's going to keep it nice and flat. And then when I go in with some of the jelly gel polishes on top of it, it's going to make them kind of bleed out and give this really cool like outline to the nail. I would love to see a full set done like this because I think it just turned out so pretty. And I am going to add in a little bit of these silver flakes to the design. And when I just want to add a small amount, I just work out of the lid because there's just a few of them in there and I'm not going to get any big chunks. So it's just going to sit really well in that dispersion layer of the jelly gel polish. Going to go in and top coat this. This design would look really good done matte as well, but I did decide to go in and do a shiny look for it. But this is a super simple way to get a fun marbled effect that really didn't take too long at all. So the next design, we're going to work with foils and nail decals. So I'm going to start with a really nice green base. This came out in the Luxio collection, I believe last spring, and it is just the perfect like soft green for a background for this design. It goes down in one coat too really nicely. So I only did one coat, and then we're going to take some of the Glitter Mix Canada foil gel. This gel is fantastic for working with foils. However, make sure you do not put it on too thick or you will have problems with it curing. It kind of will do like a rippled effect to it. So I'm cured my gel polish, and then I'm going to go in and put this foil down on top of it. Now, wherever you really scrub the foil, it's going to stick. But the nice thing about the foil gel from Glitter Mix Canada is that once you like lift it up, if there's any that didn't transfer, you can easily just go back in and add those small parts to it as well. For the most part, this transferred pretty good, and I knew I was going to cover it up with some decals anyway, so I didn't worry too much about going back in and covering up any imperfections, but I did go back in and add a little bit more flowers to the top corner here. And then I'm going to take again some of those really pretty butterfly decals and just add two small ones to this design. Make sure they're stuck down really well. They actually stick really nicely on top of that foil gel, which is really good. And then I did decide to go in and add a few little flakes. This time I chose the gold flakes though, because I thought it paired better with the tones of this nail design. So I'm going to take a dotting tool for this. I either use like a dotting tool or just a small brush, but I only want a few of the gold particles and just kind of wherever I have some negative space to the nail. And for this design, I did decide to do it matte because these flakes look really good matte as well. Our next design is very spring. I love how bright and fun this design is. We're going to start with a really bright yellow color here, and we are going to take like a striper brush to kind of separate it so that we're going to do like a half and half nail. I find this to be the easiest way to do half and half nails, just kind of get your base to start there, but I do like actually working from the bottle to create like the majority of product down on the nail. So after I've done this, I'm going to go in and cure it, and then I decided to take this really pretty light white color, and it's got some really nice sparkles to it too. This is Crystal from Luxio, and it's actually been quite a staple in my collection lately for backgrounds like this where I want the nail decals to really pop. So you don't have to make it like perfectly straight because we are going to go in and add a glitter line, which is going to clean up any imperfections. But when it comes to your nail decals, I suggest kind of like cutting them in half here. That way they line up really nicely against that line that we created with the gel polish. Don't forget to remove your dispersion layer if you're using a gel polish that has a dispersion layer like the Akzentz one does here. I'm going to put a yellow flower down here, and then I'm going to do like a bigger one kind of in the corner of the other side of the nail. And then I did want to clean up some of that white space with adding a butterfly, but I wanted to clip the wings so it's not overhanging on top of that other yellow. And then I decided that I wanted a sparkly line to kind of separate the two colors here. So I'm going to take the Beamy Leaf Gels. Now I didn't pick a silver color, which was just like a safe choice, but a green would look so nice with it, or gold, anything like that. I'm going to take a striper brush and just create that solid line to separate the two colors. And because I have some really pretty sparkles, I did decide to go in and do a shiny top coat for this design. This last design was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest, and I wanted to try and create it on nails. However, if I was to do it again, I would do it a little bit different because I didn't like how big the florals turned out. But I really liked the color of the background choice. So we're going to take this really pretty light blue from Luxio. It's kind of like the perfect like soft blue color. This one I find does need to be stirred though, and I didn't stir it before this, which I didn't mind the look because I knew I was going to cover it up, but I did do 2 coats of it. And I'm going to take this dotting tool, which was again featured in my favorites video, and I'm just going to create some bigger dots for the flowers here. Now they don't have to be perfectly round and they don't have to be perfectly even either, but what I liked about the picture that I found on Pinterest is that there was a whole bunch of small flowers and they were all different colors. I thought that would create a really fun look for this particular design. Okay, this is where I would do things different if I was to do this design again. I found that like the stems and the leaves that I was creating for the flowers were too thick for my liking, so I would have used a small, actually I probably would have used a longer striping brush to create like more of a thin stem to these nails. And same thing with the leaves. I found that, I think it's because of the brush that I was using, I think I wasn't loading them properly, but the leaves were like a little too thick for my liking. So if you do recreate this look, those would be my suggestions with it. And then for the centers of the flowers, I did mostly yellow except for the yellow flower. I ended up doing like a really pretty orange for the center of it. Now another option for the centers would be to like do a really pretty sparkle with it. That would look good, especially with how I did it as a shiny top coat here. And the top coat I've been using is the Akzentz Shine On. I really like it for sealing over top of hand painting because I find you get less kind of lumps and bumps from the hand painting. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it gives you some inspiration for some spring nail art. If you recreate any of these designs, I would love to see it. So definitely be sure to tag me and comment below and let me know what you guys do if you're kind of in like a nail funk and you want to find some inspiration for nail art, because I think many of us can benefit from those ideas. So make sure you're following me on all my social media and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.